Imagine you started investing in two popular ETFs right now. An S&P 500 fund that's returned over 60% in the last 3 years, and a NASDAQ 100 ETF that's gained more than 80% in the same period. Combine these two, and you're looking at an average annual return of around 20%. If you invested just $500 every month at that rate, you'd hit over $1.5 million in about 20 years. Now here's the catch. A 20% average return over 2 decades has never happened in market history. The long-term average is closer to 10% before inflation, or about 7% after. At that realistic 7% rate, your $500 monthly investment would grow to around $500,000 in 20 years. Still life-changing, but a very different number from the fantasy. This is exactly the kind of trap new investors fall into, and today I'm going to walk you through 7 simple mistakes that could cost you thousands of dollars. The worst part, you might not even realize you're making them. Quick disclaimer, this isn't financial advice, just my personal perspective on investing.
Mistake number 1, never starting. Let's start with what you might already be doing right. If you've put your money into a diversified ETF, you're already ahead of most Americans. Studies show that only around 60% of Americans own any stocks at all. The single biggest mistake is waiting too long to begin. Every additional year you're invested can mean tens of thousands of dollars at the end. Let me show you the math. Say you invest $500 per month with an inflation-adjusted market return of 7%. After 35 years, you'd have roughly $860,000. But what if you waited just 2 years to start? You'd only have about $740,000. That 2-year delay cost you $120,000. This shows that the biggest mistake isn't picking the wrong ETF. It's not being invested at all. But what about waiting for a dip? With markets near all-time highs, shouldn't you hold off for lower prices? Charles Schwab actually studied this question with 5 hypothetical investors over 20 years, each receiving $2,000 annually. 2 are especially interesting. One had perfect timing, investing at the absolute lowest point each year. The other had the worst possible luck, investing at the peak every single year. Here's what's surprising. The perfect timer ended up with about $186,000, while the worst timer still had around $151,000. The gap is only about 19%. Even investing at the worst possible moment every year still produced solid long-term results. But the guy who never invested and kept his money in cash, he ended up with just $47,000. Procrastination is far more expensive than bad timing.
Mistake number 2, chasing past performance. We're seeing record numbers of new ETF investors right now, and many are making this exact mistake. I actually did it myself in my opening example. The S&P 500 and NASDAQ 100 are both solid investments. I've held positions in both and made good returns. So what's the problem? It's the selection criteria. Many beginners pick ETFs based purely on recent performance. Tech-heavy funds have surged because of AI and companies like NVIDIA, but statistically, this makes them riskier going forward. There's a concept called mean reversion. Massive gains in the past create sky-high expectations for the future. This drives prices up, making stocks expensive relative to their actual earnings. U.S. tech giants now trade at 40 times their earnings or more, while other markets are much cheaper. Markets are cyclical. There are periods when U.S. stocks dominate and periods when international markets outperform. Betting everything on one sector or country means you're gambling that the recent trend continues forever. That might happen, but it carries significant risk. Here's the real danger. When markets drop 20% and your tech-heavy ETF is underperforming while another sector is booming, you'll be tempted to sell at a loss and chase the new hot thing. That's how people destroy their wealth. The solution? Have a clear strategy. Decide upfront which markets you want to hold for the long term and stick to it.
Mistake number 3, hidden overlap. Maybe you're thinking, fine, I'll buy an S&P 500 fund for safety and add a NASDAQ 100 ETF as a growth booster. Best of both worlds. Not quite. These 2 funds overlap significantly. About 87% of companies in the NASDAQ 100 are already in the S&P 500. The overlap by weight is around 50%. Their top holdings are nearly identical: Apple, Microsoft, NVIDIA, Amazon, Alphabet. By holding both, you're not diversifying. You're doubling down on the same mega-cap tech stocks. This creates concentration risk. If those companies underperform, your entire portfolio suffers. Here's a sobering fact. Research from Arizona State University found that only about 4% of all stocks are responsible for all the wealth creation in the market above Treasury bills. Nearly 60% of individual stocks actually lose money over their lifetime. If your portfolio only covers a narrow slice of the market, you risk missing the few stocks that drive all the gains. The safer approach is a truly global fund, like a total world stock ETF that includes not just the US, but international developed and emerging markets. You can still add sector-specific funds as a small portion, but understand the overlap and the risk you're taking on.
Mistake number 4, ignoring the details. The best strategy in the world won't help if the technical setup is wrong. This quick checklist takes 1 minute and can save you thousands in fees and taxes over time. First, turn on DRIP. That stands for Dividend Reinvestment Plan. Most brokers let you automatically reinvest your dividends back into the same fund instead of receiving cash. This maximizes compound growth without you lifting a finger. Make sure this is enabled in your brokerage settings. Second, keep expense ratios low. A fund with 0.03.
Mistake number 5, the optimization trap. Here's an ironic truth. The more you try to optimize your portfolio over time, the worse your results usually become. Almost every year, a new and supposedly better ETF launches. It's slightly broader or has marginally lower fees by 0.02%. The temptation to switch is real, but every time you sell, you trigger capital gains taxes. That tax bite removes money from your compounding base, potentially costing you tens of thousands over decades. The smarter approach? Don't sell your old ETF just because you found a newer one. Simply redirect your future contributions to the new fund. Let your existing positions continue growing tax-deferred. This actually creates an advantage later. When you eventually need to withdraw money in retirement, you can choose which positions to sell first. Newer positions typically have smaller gains, meaning lower taxes when you sell them. Your oldest, most appreciated shares keep compounding longer.
Mistake number 6, the behavior gap. Even with perfect ETF selection and an ideal technical setup, there's one mistake that ruins everything: your own psychology. The behavior gap is the difference between an ETF's actual returns and what investors actually earn. Behavioral research shows that people feel the pain of losses about 2 to 2.5 times more intensely than the pleasure of equivalent gains. This asymmetry makes us terrible at staying calm during downturns. In theory, long-term investing sounds easy. In practice, watching your portfolio drop 20% or more is emotionally devastating. People panic, sell at the bottom, and miss the recovery. Here's some perspective. The average bear market lasts about 9 to 10 months and drops around 35%. The average bull market lasts nearly 3 years and gains over 100%. Markets are positive about 78% of the time historically. Even when markets fall, the declines are usually smaller than we fear, and recoveries happen faster than expected. For beginners, the best advice is simple. Check your portfolio as rarely as possible. You can't make emotional mistakes if you're not watching. A crash isn't a real risk for long-term investors. It's actually an opportunity to buy more at lower prices.
Mistake number 7, the small money trap. Many people think they shouldn't bother investing $50 or $100 a month. That's not enough to matter, right? Wrong. Starting small is perfectly fine. The real mistake is staying small. As your income grows, your investment contribution should grow too. Yet many people set up a $100 monthly contribution and never change it, even after promotions and raises. This is lifestyle inflation in reverse. Your expenses expand with your income, but your savings stay flat. To build real wealth, aim to invest at least 10 to 20% of your take-home pay. Whenever you get a raise, immediately increase your automatic investments before you get used to the extra money. By avoiding these 7 mistakes, I've personally seen strong results from my ETF investments, with annual returns around 13% and total gains over $70,000. The key has been sticking to my strategy through all market conditions and not getting distracted by the latest trends. Anyone can achieve similar results by avoiding these simple errors and committing to a clear, long-term plan. The math of compound growth is on your side, if you let it work. If you're ready to start, check out my other videos about investing and make sure to like and subscribe so you don't miss the next one. Thank you for watching. Check out my channel for more finance guides and make sure to like and subscribe. See you soon.